This dish is pretty exciting. It's twice cooked duck. I'm not only going to confit some duck legs, I'm then going to crumb it and make it into crispy duck. It is so delicious and pretty easy to follow. You'll need 4 duck legs for this and a lot of duck fat, about a litre of it, and it is readily available these days. The best thing about duck fat is after you've cooked with it, you can allow it to cool and strain it and reserve it for another use. So duck fat potatoes is the perfect example. So in it goes. Essentially, you need enough duck fat to cover the duck leg so it's completely submerged in the fat so it can cook evenly. Now we need to add some flavourings to this. Orange and duck are best mates, so a few peels of orange can go straight in there. Some cinnamon and a star anise, which has a lovely licorice flavour. And usually when you would confit duck, you would salt it and maybe add a little sugar to start with, then brush it off and add it. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to cut that stage out. We're just going to put it all into the fat. So sugar goes in at this stage, along with a generous pinch of salt. So 2 big pinches of salt for this. And we can add our duck legs. So I'll just grab a knife. And then in they go. So submerge them in the duck fat bath. I love this. Fabulous. And we're going to turn the heat on. We're just going to turn that to a low heat and just allow that fat to melt completely and allow the flavours to just combine. Once it's completely melted, we're going to pop this in the oven. So use a heavy base casserole pan that is suitable for the oven, and it's going to cook for about 2.5 hours on a low heat. So 150 degrees, so you want to make sure it's quite accurate for this because we want a nice even cook. And essentially we're going to cook that until the meat falls off the bone. So 2.5 hours is what we're looking at. Okay, this duck has been cooking for 2 hours. I've removed it from the oven and allowed it to cool in the duck fat. Not completely cold, but just enough to handle because now we need to crumb it. It's really important that the meat pulls away from the bone but doesn't completely fall off the bone because we do want it to stay intact as we crumb it because look how beautiful they look. And we're just draining them off as much as you can. And I place them on a tray that's been lined with a rack because when we cook them with the crumbs, you want a nice even colour around it. So take that off. And the last one. And like I mentioned before, please don't throw away this duck fat because it's really like liquid gold. All you need to do is strain it and pop it in a glass jar and it'll keep for months in the fridge. I'm now going to brush some Dijon mustard onto these duck legs. This is almost going to act as a glue, but it's also for the flavour because I love the mustard with the duck. So you just want to paint each delicious confit of duck with the mustard. So you want about a tablespoon of Dijon mustard per leg. And I should mention you could do this ahead of time. So you could allow the duck to completely cool in the duck fat and then refrigerate it and just bring it back to room temperature before you crumb the duck. And the last one. Look at that. Fabulous. Now for one last flavouring, some thyme, and I'll be adding the thyme to the crumbs. So I'm just going to finely chop this very tender thyme. It's so young, so even the stalks is okay. We want about a teaspoon worth. And then in it goes. Give that a mix. And now we'll crumb. So just sprinkle that over the top, making sure that it's completely covered. How good does that look? That goes back on the tray and then we're going to cook it in the oven again. I have increased the heat of my oven. It's now at 210 degrees and this is going to take about 15 to 20 minutes or until they're golden brown. Well, I'm pretty happy with the way this has turned out. Look at that, so crispy, and it is almost falling off the bone now, just perfect. Do allow it to cool slightly before you serve it, just so the meat can just set around that bone. I'm gonna place it in one of these baskets. Oh. One more over here. And then just to cut through the fat, maybe some lemon. But this is also really good to serve with some chutney or even some more Dijon mustard on the side. Yum-o. Chicken, yeah, we all know how to crumb chicken, but confit of duck, crumbed and then rebaked, that's a thing of beauty. Let's dig in, hey? Show you this. Oh, look at this meat, so juicy. A little lemon. This is why I love cooking. Got the best job in the world.